Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a beautiful golden eyeshadow with nude lips. So I'm going to start first by cleaning our face with wipes. Next I'll be going in with Garnier Micellar water, and then I'll be using serum on our face. After that I'll be using the MsMetics moisturizer on our face. Now I'm putting lip balm, and next I'm using the oil control by Pond's just to control any oil that might want to break out later. After that I'm going to be using the classic primer. Is a mattifying primer, and next I'm going to be using the Mehron skin prep. All this is just to control sweat and to control oil that might break out on the face later on, so that it will create a matte look on our face. Now I'll lock everything in with the LA Girl Pro Setting Spray. I'm applying foundation on her face, and guys, I want to apologize. So because I was standing to the side, and as a result my model's face was tilted to the side in some parts of the video. I apologize if you cannot really see what I'm doing in those parts where her face is tilted to the side or tilted away from the camera. From the Zikel Golibe palette, I'm using that shade to contour her face as a cream contour. So this was my first time using the palette, and I must say it really turned out very well. At first I was a bit skeptical, but I liked how it was. It was really creamy, although they called it medium coverage, but it gave me full coverage, if I can term it as that. Then for blush I'm going to be using those two shades from the same Zikel palette. For highlighting, I'm going to be using that dark shade first, then I'll be going in with a lighter shade for the inner corners of our eyes and for our chin, and you guys will be able to see it in the video, all the parts where I put it, our forehead, our cupid's bow and nose. So I'm going to be highlighting all those places. And the secret to a perfect finish, a flawless finish, is to always keep blending till everything has been absorbed by the skin. So while using the concealer I noticed that it was matte, so it was drying very fast, and I just had to quickly blend it before it dries completely. So in case that happens, just keep blending and blending till everything becomes absorbed by the skin. After blending, I went in with that shade from the powder palette and I put it on all the places where I highlighted. So this step is not necessary. I just wanted to do it. If you want to do it, you can, or if not, you can go in straight with a setting powder. And to set her face, to set all the parts where I highlighted, I'm going to be using the Veninow setting powder. So you first apply it before you now go in to bake. For powder contour, I'm using that shade from the Juvia's Place palette. For blush, for powder blush, I'm using those two shades from the Ceendies blush palette, and it was so beautiful, guys. I really loved how it turned out, and very pigmented, because this was my first time using it too, but I loved how it turned out. Now I'm contouring her nose. That's cream contour. I'm contouring her nose with the same shade I used for her cheeks from the Zikel palette. I'm going to be blending that out, and then for powder contour, I'll be using the same powder from the Juvia's Place palette that I use for her cheeks. Now I'm baking with the setting powder, and that's just for the underneath of her eyes, so that the nose contour will stand out very well and to catch any fallout from her eyeshadow. It also enables her face to really be matte, to be dry, especially the underneath of her eyes, because that powder will slowly melt into her skin. For her eyebrows, I'm brushing it up with the Papaya Hair Wax, and next I'm going to be drawing her brows with the Karité Brown Ink. Yes, the Karité Brown Ink, and I'm going to be using this flat brush to draw our brows. To conceal our brows, I'm using that shade for the middle part of our brows. That's our brow bone. I'm using a light shade, that is our concealer shade actually. Then for the beginning part of our brows and the tail end, I'm going to be using a foundation shade such that it will blend in easily. So when you do this, it enables you to blend that part very well, so that it's not causing halo brows. Please, I hope you understand what I'm saying. So when you want to conceal the upper part of the brows and the tail end and the beginning part of the underneath of our brows, you use like a foundation shade, so that it's very easy to blend out. And for the middle parts of the brows, you can see that I used a concealer shade so that that place will stand out very well. As you can see, I'm blending it now, and it's so easy to blend even without using a fluffy brush or using a beauty blender. As I mentioned earlier, for the upper part of our brows, I'm using a concealer shade that is the same shade with our foundation. So you do the same for the underneath of our brows, that's the beginning part and the tail end. It helps you to blend easier and faster. I'm using that shade for the part where I used a concealer shade for our brow bone, and now I'm using that dark shade for the part where I used a concealer shade that is the same color with a foundation for the beginning of our brows and the tail end, so it helps you to blend easier and smoother. Now I'm using the Avour eyeshadow primer for our eyeshadow. So I used to make a mistake, and in case you're making a mistake too, you can just correct yourself. So as you can see, I'm spreading the eyeshadow primer on our eyelid, and that's the way you're supposed to do it. You don't just swipe it in a particular spot or slap it in just one place. If not, the eyeshadow will be cracking, and you don't use too much. So start with a little and then build it up, so you can add more as you go and you spread it out. When you do it like this, your eyeshadow will not crack, it will just blend in seamlessly. So now I'm using that particular shade from the Flawless Ivy powder palette as a transition shade. So when you're applying eyeshadow, you also build it up. You put a little and then you start working with that. Don't just put a lot on the brush. Next, I'm using this shade from the Miss Rose eyeshadow palette. It's a pinkish shade, so it's going to create some sort of soft, beautiful eyeshadow look. Now I'm using this orange shade from the same Miss Rose eyeshadow palette. I'm not adding any more primer to the brush, it's just the one that is already on the brush that I'm using to blend it out. And next I'm going into the Naughty eyeshadow palette by Huda Beauty, and I'm using the Flower Power shade. It's a golden shimmery shade. So guys, I zoomed it in so that you can see how I'm doing the eyeshadow very well. How I'm applying the eyeshadow rather. Next, I'm using this glitter or pigment glue by Sylvimak. I'm going to be applying that. So I mistakenly put too much on the brush and I had to reduce it, but that was not an issue. So you just be careful how you apply product, and if you notice that it's too much, don't just put everything in. You can put a little on your hand and apply little on that particular spot. Now I'm using Pigment by I'm using the Pigment by JustMakeUp in the shade Gold, and I'm applying that on her eyelid. I'm using that black shade from the Chanlaya eyeshadow palette to give her eyes a smoky look. For eyeliner, I'm using Zaron black eyeliner, and I'm not putting a lot because the eyes are already saying much with the gold pigments. I'm just using a little, and I'm going to be using that on a lower lid too. But before I put that on a lower lid, I'm going to be using an orange shade. That's the same orange shade I used for our upper lid. I'm going to be using that to line a lower lid so that it can pop a little. I'm brushing the powder away, that's the setting powder, and now I'm going to be using this light powder shade from the Flawless Ivy just to brighten our under eyes all the more. So I'm going to be using my brush to apply that, and I'm going to be using that powder shade to blend everything together into our face. Now I'm doing a reverse contour with the same powder shade, and then I'm touching up the blush that I put on her face earlier. Here I'm using my beauty blender with powder on the edge to create a sharp edge for the eyeshadow so that it gives that, you know, that extra look. And I brushed away excess powder with my brush, and now I'm going into a nose contour just to reapply it. Okay, so I'm going into this same powder palette. I'm using a beauty blender to brighten the underneath of her eyes again, just so that it's really bright and the nose contour stands out. I'm going to be using this mascara from Kiss Beauty for her lashes. Now I'm lining our lips with the Karité Brown Ink. So when it comes to lining of lips, that's overlining of lips rather, most times you just have to overline only the cupid's bow, especially if the model already has full lips, so that their lips are not looking larger than life. But if they have small lips, then you can overline the old lips. But if they already have full lips, then you just overline only the cupid's bow. So here I only overlined a cupid's bow before going in with a nude lipstick, a nude lip paint by Becharm Ageless. For lip gloss, I'm using a clear lip gloss by Be Pretty by Mara on the places where I use the brown ink, and I'm using a nude lip gloss by the same brand on the places where I use the lip paint. For highlighting, I'm going into the Naughty eyeshadow palette. I'm using that particular shade Tantric to highlight and to make sure everywhere glows. That's our nose, our cheeks, our chin. I also used it on our neck and our collarbones. I also used it on our brow bone and the inner corners of our eyes. I'm setting everything with the setting spray from Flawless Ivy, and now I'm locking everything in with the So Pro Silhouette spray. And here is the finished look, guys. So don't you just love this look? I mean, look at her. Just look at this gorgeous, beautiful, elegant, simple yet sophisticated lady. Just look at the makeup, guys. It's giving, really, it's giving. So I also videoed it in low lighting so that you can see how everything is glowing and how beautiful it looks. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, my beauties. Love you.